Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves and we teach to kids because words, they have a physical impact on every person on this world. Every person. Think about it. Like, if you have a bruise, it fades in a few weeks. A broken bone, it can heal. But words, that can stay with somebody for a lifetime. I think for a lot of people, they remember certain things. Maybe a teacher said something to them when they were in third grade, and it still sticks with them, and they're 42 years old. Words are as sharp as knives. Why? Because they cut into who you actually are as a person. It's not just physical, but it's spiritual, and it's your soul that gets cut in the process. And that's why words are very, very destructive and have power that I think many of us don't even realize. Your words shape your identity. That's why when you're a child, you hear your mom or your dad, they just tell you you're amazing, you could do anything, you could be anyone you want to be. You could become a doctor, you could become an astronaut, you could become a police officer, you could start your own business. You have a gift, you are special. And for a lot of us, it does have an effect. It has a meaningful effect because it uplifts us. It makes us feel something of value, of uniqueness. And that is an example of how words are used in an uplifting way. But on the same token, just on the different side, words can be very destructive as well. Because all it takes is one word from a friend, a family member, or a teacher to change the perspective that you have on who you are. So if you grew up hearing from your parents that you are special, you are unique, but when you're in high school, people around you, friends, are telling you that you can't do that business, you can't be that successful athlete, that really does impact you. Because now the words from that person are directly contradicting the words that you heard when growing up. And whenever there's a contradiction, there is a deep reflective process that happens within each human. Because your brain and your heart are analyzing whether one person is true in their words that they speak or the other person is true. Because that's the thing. It's either one person is right and one person is wrong. So who's right? Who's wrong? And that's why words have a very deep impact on people. Because what you say can either hurt the image and the belief that somebody had about them. I'll read you this biblical verse, Proverbs 18:21. It says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. This is important because God mentions this in the Bible for a reason. Because our words have a creative power, and you can literally speak anything into existence. That's why when you're chasing your dream, you have to be delusional. You have to say you can do anything, you can be anything, because you saying that literally confirms in your spirit that you actually have the power, the will to go from nothing and to turn that into something, to be somebody that maybe society deemed was impossible or is impossible. And that's why Proverbs 18:21 is something that everybody needs to reflect on, because you can be that person saying something hurtful, something destructive to another person, and you may not know it, because you may say something as a joke, you may say it as a comment, it's just something that you said in passing. And you thought it was funny. It didn't mean much because you know it's not true or you're just joking. But you have to understand that that joke was probably at someone's expense. Somebody is now questioning whether what you said is actually true or whether that's false. Your words plant a seed. And the thing is that that seed can either be good or can be bad. And you have to be accountable for the words that you're about to say, because you may apologize for it. You may not have meant the words that you spoke, but you have to understand that that seed is already planted, whether for good or for bad. And for anyone that has experienced the negative outcome of someone's words, I need you to hear this. I need you to listen to me. Your worth is not determined by the words of another person. They don't really know you. They don't know your life experiences. They don't know the power that you have within you, that God has given you. And that's important, because the words that other people say about us, we're constantly reflecting on ourselves. We don't know what we look like every day. In order to know that, you have to look in the mirror. So if somebody says you have an eyelash on your face or there's something in your hair, we take that as truth. Why? Because we in that moment can't directly see ourselves. And that is the same with words. When someone says something about us, we almost have to trust them because we don't really see the full picture of ourselves in that moment. You may think that what that person said, whether it's your father, whether it's a friend, whether it's your own spouse that says something, you might think that's true. But I need you to understand that the words of another person does not determine your worth. Their words say more about them than they do about you. You have the power, the choice to either accept what they say or reject what they say. Don't let their poison become your truth. Rise above it. Everyone has an opinion about everything, but that doesn't mean that opinion is valid. That opinion should validate who you are and what you stand for. Rise above it. Understand who you are. And that has to come from really understanding who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, words from other people will have a very heavy impact on your life. And honestly, that should be a little frightening. Figure out who you are, because that gives you the foundation. When the words of another person is thrown at you, you have a shield because you know who you are. You know who God has made you to be, and that is all you need. And I know we're taking this as focusing on the negative connotation of words, but I also want to leave this off with a positive message, in that if words have the power to destroy, they also have the power to heal. The words that you have in your head that you're about to say to someone, you can turn that into something uplifting, something encouraging, something that gives that person a special feeling. Instead of speaking death, speak life. Speak life into other people. Speak life into yourself. Understand that your words have power beyond your understanding. So choose them intentionally, because they matter. They always matter. They will always matter. Everything in this life starts with what you say. And I mean everything. Your relationships, your self-image, and even your future starts from what you say. So if it starts with what you say, speak life, speak prosperity, speak success to others, to yourself, because you never know who is going to take your words to heart. So choose to speak life rather than speaking evil, because your words that you say, it will change someone's life. So choose to speak love, to speak life, to speak happiness.